Harry is heartbroken all over again. Now, of course, this is something that he is never going to admit publicly, especially as his marriage to Meghan Markle crumbles. But former close friends of the Duke have told me that Chelsy Davy's decision to have a third child has really emotionally hit home. Now, she shared these beautiful images, and my God, I'm so happy for Chelsy Davy. Like, this is all she wanted. And I think it's delightful that she's comfortable to share the images on Instagram and now does finally feel like she can have a bit of a public profile. But why this has really hit home to Harry is that he had always discussed with Chelsy Davy having a large family. And of course, as soon as he ended up with Meghan Markle, who, yes, was older, and that is understandable that when you are older, the biological clock is ticking, that they decided, and it was apparently a mutual decision, but one that always surprised Harry's close friends, to have just 2 children, which went in total contrast to the big family that Harry had always discussed having, and that Chelsy Davy, who is now very happily married, and there is no suggestion, by the way, that she pines in any way for her life with Harry. I mean, she's totally happy now. But for him, given this marriage, as Tom Bower has been revealing, and betrayal, as I have been revealing for many months, is in such deep trouble. Of course, when you look at the one who got away, and she's living the life that you hope to live one day, in Mystique no less, with a lovely man who treats her very well, of course, that is going to hurt. Now, Angela Levin is Prince Harry's biographer and our royal mastermind. She spent a long time with Harry, writing the authoritative biography just in his final days of meeting Meghan. Angela, look, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Because something definitely changed for Harry. He went from wanting this big family to all of a sudden saying, oh, no, it would be so irresponsible to have any more than 2 children because of climate change. You know, it was such a weird thing, wasn't it? Like, when you're thinking about your family, why on earth are you going into the climate change debate? And of course, here's Chelsy Davy living the life that her and Harry had long discussed, which was a big family outside of the United Kingdom.
Well, there's 2 things here. One is that if you've got 2 children of your own, you are usually very, very pleased. And if someone's got 3 and you've got 2, it's not a place to feel really hard done by, because actually having 2 children is wonderful if you have them. But the second one is what I know from when I was doing his biography is that she went to university, right? And he was cross because it was quite a long way. So he started having affairs with all sorts of other girls. And she got very upset. And he didn't go and see her for a long time. So she went off and left him. Now, that's his fault. 100% his fault. You can't expect that the delightful woman like that, or any woman who's got any sort of sense of herself, that would be fine. That doesn't matter. Let her boyfriend go and have a lot of fun and then come and see me when you feel like it. She kept inviting him, but he was saying they weren't the right sort of guys for him. Well, that might be right. That's university. You don't always have the right friends, but it's his fault. I think he might look back on his life about his fault for a long time. But this is a nonsense, isn't it? He's pretending it's poor me again. It's not a poor me. It was a poor her if it was poor anything.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm absolutely with you on that, Angela. But I guess it shows you that things aren't good, are they? Because if you're in a happy relationship, you never look back at your exes at all. And look, he's not looking back, in fairness, at Cressida Bonus.
You can do a bit. You can do a bit, but not a lot. I think you can look back and think, if I was older, I would have behaved better, or, things like that. So we'll give him that little bit. But, you're right otherwise.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think Chelsy Davy was the love of his life?
Yeah, he loved her a lot. And she really loved him. And they had great fun together. And he liked it because she wasn't worried about the royal family. That wasn't a big deal for her. She just fitted in very easily. And she was fun and a very nice girl, not demanding, not phenomenally rich, where she would want all sorts of diamonds and earrings and necklaces. She was just a very, very nice girl with a very nice family. And he loved the openness with all the animals in Africa, and all that was very pleasing for him. And she was fun. She was good fun.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, my sense, I covered their relationship very closely, actually, in my former life in newspapers, and it was very off and on. Like one week they'd split up, the next week they'd be together, but there was always a real passion there, and it felt like a very equal relationship emotionally as well. But I do agree with you, it was Harry who mucked it up, and I think we just all look at Chelsea today and think, she made the right decision. Because you look at Harry, totally miserable, totally allowing his negative past to take over him, all of these court battles, and just a great sense of sadness, actually, and anger connected to him. And you compare that to those pictures of Chelsy Davy, and she is living the dream. She is truly living the dream. And I think she does deserve that. Now, Angela, I knew it was going to happen, but of course, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's new PR team are fighting back with propaganda. This is as a result of the publication of, the forthcoming publication of Tom Bower's book Betrayal, which of course has been serialized in the Times newspaper over the past week. Incredibly disappointed with Richard Palmer. He was a member of the Royal Rota for a long time and was the Daily Express's royal editor. He was made redundant from there, and that was a real shame. But the fact that he's now writing for the newspaper and totally swallowing the Sussex Kool-Aid without any question is a disappointment to me, Angela. I'm not going to lie. So this is what he posted on X, and I just thought, are you kidding me? Like, do you really believe this? Harry and Meghan are working on 5 projects with Netflix and others with rival streamers and TV channels. There's no doubt they've suffered some setbacks, understatement of the year, but 6 years after their freedom fight, they do seem to be making it work for themselves. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Richard, have you followed anything? They've just been dumped now by Netflix in terms of the deal with As Ever. So this to me was pure propaganda, clearly being linked by the Sussex squad directly to him. And I just want to take you through, Angela, some of the key parts of the piece so that you can respond. And so he wrote, Harry and Meghan were banned from being part-time royals. They're doing it anyway. And the source said they have plenty of money. Now, that is, of course, a direct hit back at Tom Bower, who says in Betrayal that the money is running out. And this source described how they have overcome the end of their 5-year deal with Netflix, reported to be worth $100 million. It has been replaced by a deal giving Netflix first refusal on their television projects, echoing the streaming giant's general approach to TV production companies these days. That's just the way Netflix has gone. It isn't really doing those kind of deals any longer, the same source said. The couple are currently working on 5 different projects with Netflix, as well as a list of other programs with rival streamers and television channels. Some of them are first draft, some of them are with lawyers, some of them are contract secured, the source said. Earlier this week, it emerged they sold Cookie Queens, a documentary about the Girl Scouts that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, to Roadside Attractions, a film distribution company whose credits have included movies such as Manchester by the Sea and Super Size Me. Charity work is Harry's primary focus, he writes, and his remaining charity patronages the Invictus Games Foundation, African Parks, Well Child, Scottish Little Soldiers for Bereaved Military Children, and his effort to make tourism more environmentally sustainable via his organisation Travelist. This was the line that I just couldn't believe. Last week, Harry spent 3 hours with an aide going through all the patronages and what he needed to do to support them. Whoop-de-doo! I mean, literally, they're trumpeting the fact that Harry has worked for 3 hours. What else is he doing? His and Meghan's charitable arm, now known as Archewell Philanthropies, is undergoing a reset after a reorganisation in December that resulted in staff redundancies and a more streamlined organisation, but also a promise to expand their global philanthropic endeavours. Now, this was such a disappointing piece of propaganda to me, Angela Levin, because it might as well have just been a press release, right? It's like, oh yeah, Sunshine Sacks, what do you want me to write? Because Richard Palmer and the I newspaper did absolutely no critical thinking. Everything that was said in that piece was pretty much a total distortion, apart from the fact that Harry worked a whopping 3 hours on his charities. I mean, if you divide that, Angela, by the number of patronages he still has, and I know it's a shrinking number, he spent half an hour on each of them. Big bloody deal. That's not going to save them.
Do you remember that they said some time ago that they would only spend 1 hour a week on doing their work for charity? So, to do it for 3 or 4 hours, it's a really very difficult and demanding thing. But, if you like something, if you want to help people, then you'd be pleased to do that, you see. He doesn't know what he wants to do, and it makes him unhappy, whatever he's doing. Nothing can actually get through to him to be happy now. He just feels it. It's everything's wrong. And whatever the king does for him and doesn't do, I mean, it's just pointless, because he's got William, and what William ever does and doesn't do, and then he complies with Catherine. It's, he just can't find something good, and that means he needs help, but he doesn't seem to have it, or the people who help him don't actually work properly, or he's choosing the wrong ones. I think that's it. When he gets to a stage where he is, he needs help, because we're all in difficulties at times, and we have to try and get over it. And well, he does just have a problem about loving his mother still, which is very, very nice, but it's not the right way of moving forward and helping yourself.
Well, Angela, given you've raised Diana, Princess Diana, I did want to ask you about this quite surprising revelation from Richard Kay. I think it really has been taken out of context, if I'm totally honest, and been pushed by Harry's allies, right? So look at this from People magazine, which you know is always pro Harry and Meghan. This is how they headlined it. Princess Diana was preparing Prince Harry to be king, believing shy Prince William didn't want the top job, a friend says. Richard Kay, a journalist and friend of Diana's, said the late Princess of Wales would call her younger son Good King Harry. Now, Angela, this was very odd to me. Again, it feels like pro-Prince Harry propaganda, because Diana herself constantly spoke about the fact that she was preparing Harry to be a loyal supporter of William, because she thought William needed support as king, not that she wanted Harry to be king.
Taken out something from a big spot, sort of stew, and it just has a whole different meaning. I know, because I was told that she was very, very worried about Harry as a boy, because he was very naughty and he was very angry with the world even then, and she felt that she had to really help him and make him feel better. And it was nothing to do with becoming king or not. She took him to psychologists, 2, 3, to discuss, and he felt in his teenage years it was very unfair to make him be feeling all the time about how he's going to prepare himself to be king. So what he did, he left London. The other royals had Unity had gone to things in London, not gone out, and he wanted to go as far as he could so he could go to university and not have anybody going anywhere near him. He refused to have a whole place there for himself. He wanted to live with everybody else. He wanted to eat fish and chips in newspaper on the floor, and he didn't want to have anyone clearing up after him or doing anything. He wanted to be a normal person because he didn't want to do that. And then, along comes Catherine. Wonderful. And along comes her parents, and they were kind and they were nice, and he could see that he could have an all normal family, and he felt very relaxed, and he felt very relaxed with her. They did split up, but he just got very nervous. But once he'd got from her the things that he could do, and instead of cutting ribbons and nuts, all those sorts of things, he could find what he really liked. And this has got to do with what he's done now. These are the things that he wants to do, weather and people. He doesn't want to do silly little things. The late Queen, his mother, grandmother, used to like to do that, but for him it didn't work out. So he wanted special things, really important, that would make a change. And then he's worked very well through, you see, whereas Harry just grumbles. And Harry just felt everything was not fair for him. I know when he came back from the army, he was offered lots and lots of very good things, and he refused them all because he was sulking, because they brought him home because it was dangerous, and there was mentioned in Australia that Prince Harry was there, and so they actually had to get him out of the place because it would be too dangerous. So there we are. It's a different story. I don't believe for a second that she would want that. She looked after him. Diana looked after him like a child. He was a child, but she had to really nurse him and hold him. And he was a damaged child from the start, partly because he had a very bad family.
Before we get into the controversy, let's go back to the beginning. Chelsy Davy was one of Prince Harry's most prominent girlfriends before he met Meghan Markle. Their relationship attracted enormous attention because Chelsy appeared to fit comfortably into Harry's world while maintaining a relatively independent identity. According to the commentary, Harry and Chelsy shared a strong emotional connection. Their relationship was described as passionate, fun, and at times very close. But it was also complicated. The pair reportedly broke up and reconciled multiple times before eventually going their separate ways. And that history matters because it makes Chelsy more than simply an ex-girlfriend in this story. She represents an important chapter in Harry's life before Meghan. One of the most interesting claims in the source material concerns the family Harry and Chelsy allegedly discussed having. The commentary says Harry had talked about wanting a large family. That detail becomes significant because Chelsy has now built a family of her own. The contrast is what fuels the current speculation. The narrative essentially asks, what happens when someone from your past eventually lives the kind of life you once imagined together? Does it make you nostalgic? Does it make you wonder what might have happened? Or do you simply look at your former partner and feel genuinely happy that they found their own path? We cannot know Harry's private reaction. But that unanswered question is what makes this story so compelling. According to the material we're examining, Chelsy is now happily married and has expanded her family. The commentator celebrates the news and describes her as finally enjoying a more comfortable public profile. And there is an important detail here. The source explicitly says there is no suggestion that Chelsy is longing for Harry or unhappy with her current life. Quite the opposite. She is presented as someone who has moved forward. That means this isn't really a story about Chelsy wanting Harry back. It is a story about what her new life might represent when viewed through the lens of Harry's past. That brings us to one of the strongest emotional themes in the commentary. Was Chelsy the woman who got away? Some royal commentators have certainly viewed their relationship that way. The source describes Harry as having loved Chelsy deeply and says she fitted naturally into his world. She reportedly wasn't intimidated by the royal family. She was described as fun, independent, and comfortable around Harry's interests and connections in Africa. That may help explain why their relationship remained significant for so long. But calling someone the one that got away is ultimately an interpretation. Harry has never publicly confirmed that Chelsy was the love of his life. And Chelsy has moved on. So the phrase makes for a compelling headline, but it shouldn't be confused with a confirmed fact. This is where the story becomes considerably more complicated. According to Angela Levin's account in the supplied material, Harry's behavior contributed heavily to the breakdown of the relationship. She says that while Chelsy was attending university, Harry began seeing other women. The account says this upset Chelsy and contributed to her eventually walking away. That is a very different story from the idea that Chelsy simply wasn't interested in becoming part of the royal family. It suggests that Harry himself may have played a significant role in the relationship ending. And Angela Levin is particularly relevant here because she was involved in researching and writing The word affairs is obviously going to attract attention. But let's put it into the correct context. The source is discussing alleged infidelity during Harry's historical relationship with Chelsy. It is not evidence that Harry is currently having affairs while married to Meghan Markle. That distinction needs to be crystal clear. The supplied material does not provide evidence of current infidelity. Instead, the discussion is about whether Harry might look back at his younger years and recognize that his own actions contributed to losing Chelsy. And that is arguably a much more interesting question than the sensational headline. Now I want to hear what you think. Do you believe Chelsy Davy was genuinely the one that got away for Prince Harry? Could seeing her happily married with a growing family make someone reflect on an old relationship? Or do you think the media is simply romanticizing Harry and Chelsy's past because it makes a compelling royal story? And what do you make of the claims about Harry's relationship with Meghan? Is there genuinely trouble behind the scenes, or is this another example of commentators reading too much into the Sussexes' public life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to CrownScope Media for royal family news, celebrity commentary, breaking stories, and in-depth analysis.